There you go. Listen, did you know that how many people are faking? Anyway, we're not really into that. That's not really what we're here for. Today, we're talking about how many layoffs are happening all across not just Silicon Valley, but also across the United States, all because of AI and tech. Tech workers are seeing a lot of layoffs. Did you know that we're actually over 100,000 tech workers being laid off over the from since the beginning of the year, since January? Yeah, 100,000. And look, not saying that they're all in Santa Clara County or Silicon Valley at all. This is global across the United States, maybe even some other countries. But I just did like this little parlay thing and just like, I wonder how many households we have in Silicon Valley. And did you know that it was 900,000 households in the Silicon Valley? Holy crap. I mean, what would happen if that was, let me break this open here. There you go. 100,000 people since the beginning of the year, right here. 27,000, 24,000, 38,000. Now Meta just announced 8,000 people, but I think it got even bigger than that. So yeah, we're over 100,000 people globally. But geez, you're seeing a slowdown, you're seeing this and that. We're like, oh my God, what's going on? AI is taking the job of multiple software engineers and other types of engineers, people that write software, and it's hurting our little microeconomy. Just is what it is. Could it be why? Here's the thing, right? In 2008, it was of the people that had the new mortgages, which was roughly 60% of the entire households across the United States, 5% of those 60% were affected by the pick a pay, and people started falling out of paying their mortgage, and it was roughly due to 5% of the population, I guess you can say. This is roughly 10% of the households, or 11.1% of the households, or if it was all of just Silicon Valley. It's not, but it is. Not really. Let's just be conservative and say it's half of the people that live in Silicon Valley or half the people that got laid off live in Silicon Valley. Well, it's 5%, or maybe like 5.5%, but it's the same thing. So wherever you see little tech hubs that are affected by AI taking jobs, and look, this is nothing new. We're Americans, we're resilient, we bounce back, we learn how to adjust. Some don't. Some do, most do, like the auto workers back in the 80s, right? Michael Keaton had a movie out. It was all about the Japanese taking over. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. And you just learned to cook. And then it was the robotics that came in and started taking jobs. Oh my God, it was blah, blah, blah. And then it was NAFTA, the trade organization, not the other one. That was the big joke. But that was when we started sending our jobs down to Mexico and massively over to China and to Vietnam and all that other stuff. So we started exporting jobs to other parts of the world because of cheap labor. And yet we bounced back. Not everybody. We still have people that are generationally unemployed for whatever reason, but a lot of them bounced back. They retrained. They got another type of job. They went from auto worker or manufacturing or assembly or whatever to a professional job or design services or what have you. That's something you have to worry about. This is something you have to worry about, right? This is going to take over multiple industries. It's not just tech workers. They're saying this could take over lawyers. They could take over bookkeepers. They could take over a lot of hard skill, technical things that you went to school for. I went to school for a degree. My degree is in business management, supply chain management. How are you going to change that? Well, AI will take over a lot of the thought process. They're still going to need people to implement the supply chain, but I could see if I was in supply chain, I could see that a lot of people would be getting out of their work, right? Finance. You look at buying a business, you can ask AI to take a look at that business and bring you information. So guess what? It could replace the need of business brokers, or at least mergers and acquisition people saying, we don't need you anymore, right? So anyway, it's going to happen. I'm saying it can happen. I'm just saying, if you think it's one of the reasons why you might be getting laid off or why you got laid off, it's time to start changing your attitude and start moving towards figuring out stuff that you can live off of. Get another job. Get into construction, boating. I don't know what all the answers are because I'm not that guy, but just something to be aware of. Okay, let's see this thing right here. Over 100,000 tech jobs lost in 4 months as 2026. And then True Up shows this. That was right where we were. And it doesn't go specifically into it. So that's the thing. Like you say, how many laid off in Silicon Valley in 2026, and it says over 100,000 tech employees were laid off globally. So I can't tell you specifically just in Silicon Valley. So let's just say it's half. I could be wrong, but at least you know where we're at, right? Keep that in mind. Real estate investors' optimism fades amid geopolitical tensions. This is done on the 22nd, which is 5 days ago. It's just something we need to be aware of, be talking about, because I've been telling people this for a bit. It's just something that's going to happen because wars tend to scare people, right? Now, out of my 3 listings, I had 3 showings this weekend. Nothing to write home about. People are looking for good deals right now. And if you're not in a need to sell situation, well, you're going to hold on to that house. If you don't need to sell it, or it doesn't make sense for you to sell it right now, rent it. If the market's collapsing, and I told people this in 2008, when the market collapses, and I told them in 2010 or 2015, I told them in 2018, I told them in 2000, whenever the market starts plateauing, hold off. Are you in a need to sell? Then keep it on market. So anyway, just something to be aware of. Again, this link is in my blog, so please feel free to do it. But even investors are walking away from deals right now because they don't know where the market's going. And they have thin margins today because everybody's a mom and pop investor. So if you're looking at buying a house for an investment, maybe you should hold off. If you're thinking about buying a business, let's talk, because I'm looking at buying businesses right now. And I'm talking about that on my financial intelligence platform. And if you're interested in learning more, go over there. But there you go. So everybody's buying everybody in real estate right now. Well, okay, what is that? First and foremost, that's a big indicator to me that the market is shifting. Do you go in when the market is super hot? Well, yeah, most people do. Okay, smart investors don't buy when the market's crazy hot, like in 2021, and the market was 2.5% interest rates, and everybody's throwing $500,000, $400,000 over list price just to get a house because they got desperate and they got the Me Too attitude going on. Well, that was dangerous, right? Because now you're stuck in that house. Whether it was your forever house or not, you're at 2.5%. Might not be the perfect house, but I can tell you that you have equity in that house. Unless you completely refinanced, and you're overboard. Then you're in a short sale situation. That's on you. Money management matters. When the markets hedge and they start to ebb instead of flow, and people say, you know what, this might be a good time to buy, that's when a good time to buy is. When people are questioning the market and they're saying, what the hell's going on in the market? Well, maybe this is a good time to buy. Compass got bought by Berkshire Hathaway, who got bought by Anywhere or Anyway or whatever. It was a big, huge holding company, and they own like 10, 12 different big, huge brands now, like Century 21, Compass, Berkshire Hathaway, all these other companies. It's this big, huge, plain vanilla, massive holding company because they did strategic buys. And it makes sense for you to do that sometimes when you're in that business, right? Well, Real, company I work with, I hang my broker's license under there. I'm not a broker, I'm a broker associate. I don't want to deal with the management of other agents. They bought Remax, one of the oldest brands out there. Real bought Remax. What does that mean to you? Nothing. You don't really care because why should you? I think it's an indication of the market. Am I excited that Remax got bought? I don't care. Never really thought much about Remax. Thought they were a good brand. They were like the Tom McCann of the shoes back in the 80s. They're a good brand, but they were shoes. They weren't like brand specific. So I don't know what it means to me. Don't really care. What it means to you, is this an indication that the market is hedging or ebbing? As a consumer, might be a buy indicator. This might be a time for you to at least get your muscles working right now, get your loan approval done to see if it's a good time to buy in the next couple of weeks, see what happens. Because if it's all indication where we're plateauing and something might happen, I'm not saying it's going to, because it hasn't happened since 2008. We saw a couple plateaus, 2018, 2022. Could be a plateau, but it could also be a massive dump because we're in a war, joblessness, or job situations going on. We just talked about AI taking jobs. So just be aware that this might be a good time to look at buying a house. Not saying it is, but I'd also talk to a lender right now. Cupertino House of the Week. This is South Stelling, not my listing. $5.3 million, brand spanking new. Looks like they bought a hunk of land and they put 4 or 5 houses on it. Now they're selling it for $5 million. They probably paid, if it was a 1/4 acre hunk of land, they subdivided it into 4 different pieces for 4 different parcels, and they put 4 houses on it. It's kind of what it looks like to me. And then they had Thomas Jane do the build out and put another $1.5 million. So each house is worth about $3 million hard costs. So then you have $1.2 million, $1.3 million in equity right there when you sell. There you go. Oh, this isn't even built. Well, it looks like it's built. They just don't have interior pictures. So to me, it looks weird because it's like a 1 car, 2 spaces, carport minimum. So I don't know. I can't tell. You know what? I can't tell because there's a floor plan. Thank you for putting the floor plan out. That's upstairs. That's the dining. They don't show you. Oh, right here. But that's weird because it's just the angle. So there you go. So if you're interested in learning more, let me know. Take you to it. We'll get you into it. It's a 7-bedroom, meaning it's a massive, massive home for multi-generational. If you're a multi-generational family, meaning parents, grandparents, yourself, and your kids, place to put. Okay. Willow Glen House of the Week, Merle Ave, not my listing, brand new listing, $1.8 million in Willow Glen. But Vito, the median price is $2.4 million. Why are you showing me this? Because it's in Willow Glen. Remember location though, right? 3-bedroom, 2-bath, built in 1939. Where's my phone? There it is. Oh no, hang on a second. Okay, Coop, this is Willow Glen House of the Week, and we're looking at this. But here's the thing. Remember I tell you Willow Glen House of the Week? Do you remember this right here? What is this? It's a trail. But also, there is a railroad track right here. So this isn't a bad place. This is actually a nice place right here. A little busy, but it's also in a cul-de-sac. But also, it's not where everybody wants to be in Willow Glen. If you're going to be anywhere on Willow Glen, it's down here. Everything up here, closer to the freeway, closer to the flight path, which is why it's $1.8 million, but it's also an 80-year-old house. So there you go. Not much to look at inside. I don't think it was redone. Okay, we're not going to go that. And then it's just taking too long. This is Luxury House of the Week, Olive Hill, not my listing, in Woodside. $35 million, 6-bedroom, 5-bath, 6,400 square feet, built in 1977. And it looks like, I don't know, it looks like, to me, it looks like it's a big green lake, but it's probably just a nice grass lawn. Can't look at it right now. It's also in the fire zone. But if you can afford $35 million, that's okay. You can afford the fire plan, the fair plan. So there you go. Yeah, it's a nice house, $35 million. If you want to take a look, give me a call. Happy to work with you. There you go. Again, all these listings are in my blog. You're very welcome to take a look at it and take a look and ask questions. So nothing much to talk about here outside of the fact that San Mateo is still number 1. San Francisco bumped up on average to a 2.7 million versus 2.4 million on average. The median price is still $2 million, and San Mateo holds the 2.1. Well, where you got to remember is that Santa Clara County is the highest volume by multitudes. The next highest one is San Mateo, which is 2.7, and they've only closed, how many closes? Oh, sale. They've only closed half of what Santa Clara has. So little dichotomy because those houses are so much more expensive. Nothing else to really worry about. We haven't seen these numbers really jolt up. As a matter of fact, we're seeing some of them recede, meaning that days on market are going a little bit faster. Houses are selling a little bit faster. Nothing really to think about much. 21 houses or 21 days on market. It's uncomfortable for some sellers, but again, if you don't need to sell, you don't need to sell.